So I had a client to come in my studio, and right away when she came in, I noticed that she wasn't quite herself. She wasn't quite herself. She looked like she had a lot on her mind. She looked like she had a lot going on. She was deep in thought, and she looked like she was carrying the weight of the world. I mean, she's a woman. Most of us, we carry the weight of the world, right? So she sat down, and like I always do, the first question I ask is, how are you? Um, and usually that sparks it runs into a huge a long, fun, deep conversation about anything really. But this time was different. She didn't have a lot to say. Like, she came in with a notebook. Her phone kept going off. Um, she was getting calls from family members. She was getting calls from friends, from work. She runs a business. She was getting client calls. I mean, back to back to back, and it was just like nonstop. I was exhausted from how many times her phone rang and she had to answer, and having to put out so many fires in a 30-minute period, nonstop. We barely even got an opportunity to get into a conversation other than, hey, how you doing? And then it was, she was on from there. But it's like with every call, she shrunk just a little bit more and more and more in that chair, and I'm physically watching this happen, right? And her husband called, one of her kids called, the school called, and a client called, and she's having to organize dates and times, and she's having to give instructions on how to do this and how to do that. Where is this? Where is that? Like, it was a lot. Just watching it, it was a lot, and I know what it feels like, because I deal with that sometimes myself. The constant nonstop cycle of your life. And so she cut the phone off. She was like, she reached her max, she reached her limit, because her time with me is like her time. It's just that one-on-one time where she gets to just be. But she wasn't allowed to be, because she was still connected to everything and everybody else in her life and everybody that she served, right? And so uh, I suggested, why don't you just turn the phone off just for a little while, or put it on silent so that you can have a moment to breathe. Just a few seconds, few minutes for yourself, right? She turned off the phone, and so 10 minutes, maybe a good 10 minutes went by, and we kind of talked. And I try, I like to try to make my clients laugh. I'll say something funny, or just to get their mind off of life or the things that they have to deal with. And I could tell her eyes were shifting, like she was like, she's thinking about this and thinking about that, and feeling extremely guilty about turning that phone off, because now everybody who depended on her didn't have access to her, and she felt guilty about that. She couldn't stop thinking about all of her responsibilities. And I literally had to, I placed my hand on her shoulders, and I kind of pushed her shoulders down and told her, just breathe. It's okay. Nobody's going to die if they can't talk to you for a few minutes. You need this time for you. And she just busted out and started crying. She started crying because she said that it was the first time in a very long time that anybody gave her permission to just be, and not to do it for somebody else, but to do it for herself. And so she got the opportunity to let out what she was feeling, what she was going through. She got to say out loud how overburdened she was, or how she felt. Because it's never, your family is not a burden, but sometimes it is. You feel overburdened, especially when you're always pouring out, but you're never putting anything back in. She was mentally exhausted. It's one thing to be physically exhausted, but it is another thing to be mentally exhausted on top of it, right? She was mentally exhausted. She didn't have anything else to give. She really didn't. And she got to in that time she spent with me in those in the next hour that we spent together, she got to breathe. She got to say how she felt and not be judged. She got to say what she was feeling and not be made to feel guilty because she wanted and needed something for herself. You know, sometimes you tell your family that, you know, I need a second for me, and it's like, well, but I need this, and well, but I need that, but you didn't do this, and but you promised me this, and you promised me that. She didn't have to deal with that. She didn't have to worry about that in that moment with me. She got the opportunity, she got the time, she got the space to just be. She got an opportunity to quiet her mind. It is so important to take a moment to carve out some time for yourself, just to be by yourself and not think about all the things you could have been doing, should have been doing, would have done, or need to do. Just quiet your mind and just lay everything to the side and just be in that moment so that you can have the chance to recuperate, to recover, to restore, to renew you. And I'm very I feel privileged to have been available and present to help her through this process. So we did some breathing exercises. You know, she got to say where she was. She got an opportunity to say, you know, where she planned to go from there. You know, she got some tips and some tools on how to manage going forward with keeping space for herself, quieting her mind so that she doesn't burn out, so there's something left for the next day or the next week or the next month or the next year. If you're totally depleted, if you pour everything out of your cup today, you have nothing for tomorrow. And as mothers, as women, it's almost embedded in us to just give, do, and completely forget about ourselves. But I implore you to remember that you matter, you are important, and everybody else needs you, but you need you as well. So I have created a blueprint. It's called the Quiet Your Mind Blueprint, and it helps you to go from overthinking to inner peace, because we got a lot on us and we're always thinking about what to do, when to do, how to do, and who to care for, and what to give and how much to give, and it's just a lot, right? You need to quiet your mind. You need to quiet your mind. So I created the Quiet Your Mind Blueprint. It's a workbook that will take you from overthinking to inner peace. Help you to find the peace that you so deserve. This book is available now on Amazon. It's available now on Amazon, or you can also get the ebook. If you'd like a copy of the ebook, where you can get it in your inbox right now, send me a message and I can send you a link to get the ebook, or you can go on Amazon and get the workbook. It's a interactive workbook. It definitely, if you go through the steps in this book, it will definitely help you to go from overthinking and find your inner peace. So go get the Quiet Your Mind Blueprint by Loretta Green Warren. It's time to stop overthinking.